Hello, welcome to this video about chakras. I'm joined by my two sisters, McKamey and Alexandra. My name is Belle. We're just going to kind of throw some ideas out there and talk about some of what we think about when we think about each chakra, some of the themes, and how we relate to each chakra, some different ideas like that. Do you guys have anything you want to say as an intro?
To introduce
yourself, yeah.
My name is McKamey. I'm Belle and Alexandra's sister. And I have a business, McKamey DP. I'm an intuitive life coach. I once was a doctor of podiatric medicine, which I still am, but I've transitioned into life coaching full-time.
Nice. Alexandra, you're working as a writer and you do different things. Do you want to introduce yourself or do you want to remain mysterious?
Yeah, I'm Alexandra. I'm Belle McKamey's sister. And yeah, I'm a writer, so I feel like, and I've done some yoga training in the past, so I'm familiar with the chakras through that, but I didn't study a type of yoga that really put like emphasis on the chakras. So anyway, but I think of things in terms of, since I'm a writer, I think of different things in terms of kind of like symbolism, which is a big literary or the arts. You know, there are a lot of like archetypal symbols. So I looked up some symbolism that had to do with the chakras.
Nice. That's
to
really
contribute
cool.
to today's discussion.
Yeah, and I wasn't familiar with the chakras, or I feel like even introduced to them until a couple years ago, but yeah, in preparing for our talk, I was interested to find that they're each associated with a particular gland in our body, so I found that interesting that there's actual like kind of physical correspondence to the chakras.
That's interesting.
Body. Yeah, so we can talk about that.
I think the chakras go all the way through your body, right? So it's like some kind of spinning sphere that has a color associated with it, and it goes from, like, there's a front and a back to the chakra. So that makes sense that it would include those glands, like where each one is. Well, should we go over where each chakra is maybe real quick?
Yeah.
So when we talk about it, we're gonna start with the root chakra and go up the chakras to the crown with the major 7 chakras. And the root chakra is at your tailbone. The sacral chakra, I think, is in between your hips. The solar plexus is like a sunshine in the middle of your abdomen. And then your heart chakra is in your heart center, like not where your actual heart is, but in the center. And you got your throat chakra, your third eye, and your crown chakra. And that, of course, that's just a brief rundown, but just to have some, some structure to what we're talking about. Have you guys ever done like chakra meditations?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. When I've done chakra meditations or been led through them, I feel like we always get grounded, and it's kind of like opening up your root chakra and like grounding into like the center of the earth, and then like kind of working your way up with your breath like through your chakras so that they're all connecting, so that there's just like kind of this like white beam of light that goes from the core of the earth like through you and then like erupts out your crown chakra to connect you to like spirit or whatever you, or like the universe or whatever you connect to as like the greater connection between all of us. So yeah, I think that's cool that we're all kind of just like energy.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, it's like the chakras are a way of bridging the physical form with a more energetic or spiritual form. So should we just start with the root chakra? Talk about some things we think about? And like the number of petals and the symbolism and everything? So when I was like brainstorming, I wrote down that I think of the root chakra as being a sense of security and safety, which includes a sense of home and belonging. I think most people include with it financial security, because you need that in life to feel safe, and a sense of groundedness in your own body. And like you were mentioning with the white light, like I think the soles of the feet are connected to the root chakra as well.
Yeah, I in meditations at least, I feel like they talk about the soles of the feet, like, and opening up that, but maybe that's just getting grounded, because people get grounded through their feet. It's like if you're seated, you can get grounded through your like coccyx, like your tailbone, But yeah, like your feet planted on the ground, either standing or sitting, you can also be rooted with them.
Mm-hmm. So it might be part of the meditation, maybe not literally part of the root chakra.
Yeah, I was trying to find out if they are like associated with it, but I couldn't find quickly.
Yeah.
Whether they are or not.
So how many petals are in the root chakra?
So there are 4 petals in the root chakra, and it's a red. It's associated with the color red, and the animal that's associated with the root chakra is the elephant.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. An elephant. This is like very earthy and grounded.
Yeah,
Really.
I guess it's very grounded. I think it's also a thing about kind of the root chakra isn't as subtle of an energy. It's kind of like a charging energy.
Oh, like really powerful. Like a,
yeah,
like a presence.
Yeah, or just kind of like it's kind of like yeah, like our core, like yeah.
I feel like elephants are very grounded. Like I think of their enormous feet, it's like yeah, and they do have a quiet kind of. Everyone always associates them with like wisdom.
That's true.
And like having a quiet, like powerful energy. The root chakra is also associated with the gonads. So because yeah, like testes for men and ovaries for females.
I'm like a middle schooler. I'm like chuckling. Like, ha ha ha.
Are part of like the endocrine system. So they're like since they produce our hormones, then they're considered part of that. So I thought that was interesting.
Was it the sacral chakra too, or it's just the root chakra for those glands?
So it's just the root chakra, which is kind of interesting because the sacral chakra I thought would be more associated with gonads, but I think since everything it's like once you're connected to your root chakra and then like you move up, and then it's not like everything's connected, so it's not like it's isolated. So I think if you have your root chakra and your gonads, and then you move up to your sacral chakra, then like you still have your gonads associated with it, even though it's not like the direct correlation. And I also thought that was interesting to just thinking in central, like I've been reading a lot and seeing a lot of people getting more connected to their like their pelvic floors.
I've heard a little bit about that.
Recently,
What have you heard about that?
Yeah, so it's just basically it's like your pelvic floor is kind of like there's like musculature that is essentially like a girdle that supports, like if you think about like your pelvic girdle of your pelvic bones, well there's like musculature, and there like your pelvis is like kind of like a bowl, and then at the bottom of that bowl is like your kind of your pelvic floor, and men have it too. So like people think of like women having it, and like just like becoming incontinent sometimes, like you know, like when you laugh or something or like sneeze, that like you like pee yourself a little bit, especially if you become pregnant. But like we're finding more that that's not normal, or it doesn't have to be normal. It just like is a sign of like you need to do some like exercises. So I think it's great that like there's like this kind of it seems like there's like a movement to have everyone be more aware of pelvic health.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
it's a good muscle to like be more aware of. That's really cool. So I was thinking about each theme. It's interesting that, so when you guys think of that idea of security and safety and belonging with the root chakra, does anything come to mind, like for yourself, or what you would bring to clients if you're doing life coaching, or for me, like an intuitive reading or something like that? Like, what do you think of when you relate to security and safety in different ways?
Security and safety,
like with the root chakra, like is there some way that appears in your life? Because the interesting thing about chakras is that like it shows up as actual things happening in your life. So like Alexandra was saying, it's like symbolic, but it's also those themes as it's playing out on your life path. Yeah,
I mean definitely like physical, so like having like being physically safe and having like a roof over your head and stuff. But also I think with coaching, a lot of times it's emotional safety. So even if you might be taken care of in terms of like having the means to like put a roof over your head and like put food on your table, And so if you don't feel like emotionally safe, then like it's hard to like proceed and like elevate yourself through the higher chakras because there's that like inner sense of safety that's lacking.
What about you, Alexandra? How does it play out for you? Have you seen it, or have you heard about it in a certain way for people?
Not really. No, I don't think I have anything. I think McKamey said it well.
Oh yeah, McKamey did say it well.
Anything to contribute to that?
I think for me, yeah, it's definitely important foundation, like you're saying, like an important foundation. Like you can't really have like in the sacral chakra creativity and expression and sensuality. You're not really comfortable with your creativity if you don't have your sense of home and belonging and all types of security taken care of. Yes, it really builds up.
Yeah, and talking about like sensuality, I think a lot of people have like even if it's not traumatic and like in the sense of like an experience of like rape or anything, I think some people a lot of people might have experiences that kind of have like a block with being able to be in touch with their sensual side because of what I don't know, stuff that might have happened when they were like a teenager or like, you know, cause
yeah, that's an important topic. Like how can we sometimes be blocked or have something associated with that chakra that we need to heal in some way. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so now since we started talking about it, the sacral chakra, I usually think so. It's the color orange, I think. Is that true?
Yeah, it's either orange or yellow. I have, yeah, it's orange. It has 6. We talk about the chakras are depicted as lotus flowers. So the sacral chakra has 6 petals.
Oh, nice.
Petals.
Okay. So it's like sexuality and sensuality. For some reason, like that always, the sacral chakra to me is about creativity and expression. That's usually my focus with it. For some reason, it bothers me when people only think of it as sexuality. I don't know why, because it's just like I'm really interested in creativity and expression. So I'm just like, I don't know why that's a thing for me. But
yeah, I was reading also.
What else is it?
Like pleasure, fluidity, creativity is a big one, and then sense of self, which I thought was
that's interesting. Like a core sense of self that's kind of like more foundational because it's like.
Yeah, which I think is interesting that it goes with creativity because I feel like sometimes I've read that, yeah, if everything is going well in someone's life, but they still feel like there's something missing, that often it's because like they are lacking creativity in their life. Like their life is too predictable, and so they don't have kind of like that sense of fun that they used to have when they were younger because, because everything they do doesn't like require or involve creativity.
So it's like that creative flow has so much vibrant energy associated with it. So like if you had more creative outlets, it would probably enhance other aspects of your life since it's like working with everything. Yeah,
and that's what they said, fluidity. So yeah, creative flow. I think that's a great terminology. And then in terms of hormones, so the sacral chakra is associated with like the adrenal gland. Which is interesting, and because the hormones that the adrenal gland secretes help us regulate our heart rate, helps us control blood pressure and like a lot of important body functions. And our adrenal glands are located. We have 2 of them. They're located at the tops of our kidneys. So sometimes they're called like the suprarenal glands, like because renal is kidney and super is above. So like I'm like making my fist because like, this is where my kidneys are. If you want to hurt someone in their sacral chakra, you can punch it. Give them a kidney punch.
That just reminded me of movies where someone gets punched in the back or something.
And then all of a sudden they're bleeding. Like they're like bleeding out of their pee hole.
I guess I always think of this. It doesn't really have to do with the chakras.
It's all peaceful. Really.
Yeah. But that just makes me think our sacrum it's kind of like your, it's like your breastbone. It's a protector of, I guess it doesn't extend high enough to protect your kidneys, but it's like a protective bone, because if you can like pound on your sacrum and it's not gonna, Yeah.
That's a good point. It's like protective.
It's there as protective. I always think of it as protecting our tailbone for some reason, even though I don't think that's the case.
Like the sacrum. It's like a pyramid, like an upside down pyramid, and then it kind of goes down into your coccyx.
Oh wow!
Like the end of your sacrum is like your coccyx, like your tailbone.
But I guess that's what it's for, because it's like your sacrum protects your heart, and then your coccyx protects like your vital organs.
Yeah, and it connects your like your two hip girdles, like your two they come together in your sacrum.
So this is really holistic. Like as soon as we talk about something, it relates to a lot of other things. So like, it's not really something you can necessarily remove. You can't just talk about one thing, one thing at a time, but it all is interrelated. That's interesting. Have you guys ever had a creative expression type experience that you want to talk about at all? Like sometime when you feel like your sacral chakra came into play, like where you got more into creativity or anything?
I guess since I'm newer to the chakras, if I had like a creative, since I don't know that I would have related it to my sacral chakra at the time, so nothing's coming to mind. How about you, Belle?
I guess I've had more experiences with my root chakra. We go back to that quickly. I've had experiences where I actually felt the energy of my root chakra, like where my tailbone is. Mm-hmm. I've also had an experience where I was at a Reiki healing circle and I actually felt this energetic stuff, like energetic gunk removed from my solar plexus because I was having trouble with my confidence.
Oh, cool.
And the solar plexus is associated with confidence. So it was like a literal metaphor or like a energetic metaphoric thing happening.
That's what. Did you notice anything like physical change after that? Was there some action that you were able to take once you felt that gunk removed?
I think it was an ongoing journey. So I think there's a play back and forth. Like even if you do something to heal the chakra itself, I think you're gonna have to take steps in your actual life. So it was part of a long healing process. So it wasn't overnight. But I did feel like removing some of that stagnant energy probably did contribute well to my healing journey with my confidence at that point. But I can't say if it was like really like the next week did I notice it. I don't think so.
Sure. Yeah. How about you, Alexandra? Have you had any creativity?
I mean, not that I associated with the chakra.
Okay.
Really. I have a but I will add that the animal associated with the sacral chakra is the crocodile.
Oh, interesting.
Probably because it has to do with like the fluidity.
Yeah, what were you saying about like surfacing, like resurfacing or something?
Yeah, it's kind of like potent. I forget how I put it. It was something about potent energy. It's like it goes deep within for guidance and resurfaces with answers.
Oh, I like that. That's really cool.
Well, and I was also thinking, you were saying it gets the thing about it gets associated with sexual energy a lot, but I was thinking that in a way that's, I guess sexual energy and creative energy are similar in that it's like, sexual energy is the impulse to like, if you're creating like a child, I don't know. I feel like that, I don't know, that's what it makes me think of, just in terms of if it's the same thing as creativity, if you're trying to relate both of those to the same area.
That's like in the tarot, there's the Empress card in the Major Arcana, and she's usually depicted as being pregnant, but it can mean like literal fertility, or it can just mean giving birth to a new project. Mm-hmm. So that's like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Either one.
Cool. And I the crocodile's picture, because crocodiles can like hibernate pretty much, right? Because they like can go to the bottom and like bury themselves in like mud and stuff for a long time. And I was just picturing that when like. It's like, your creativity could be in hibernation for a long time before it resurfaces.
Yeah, and in terms of fluidity, I think of crocodiles as being more, I don't know about more fluid, but just more like mobile than alligators are a little more, they're just larger, I feel like, so they're more
that's interesting. I never know the difference. I know their heads are shaped differently, and they live in different places, but I never. Cool.
Okay, so should we move on to the solar plexus?
Yeah.
I think of the solar plexus, the main thing I always think of is confidence. And so I related that to being in the world and the way that you want to with your confident self. And for some reason that brings up like strong boundaries, because I feel like if you're going to be confident in the world, you would have to have strong boundaries because you don't want to get pushed around, or like you don't want every single thing to influence you. You want to have a sense of what you want, how you want to relate to the world.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm thinking about like punching people, but I'm thinking about movies too, where like if you really want to put someone like in their place or get rid of their confidence, just punch them in the solar plexus or kick them in the solar.
Have you seen any movies recently, like action movies? That's really funny. You're feeling like your sense of
no, I feel like that's a common thing. Like people get the wind knocked out and they're like, oh my god, like oh, it got me right in my solar plexus. Like that. That's like, I think this is one of my connections.
Okay.
To the chakras initially. Is when people were like talking about the chakras, I'd be like whatever, and then they'd be like solar plexus. It's like, oh, I know what that is. Like that's a connection. Yeah,
the term is used a little more, maybe like the solar plexus. You're like, oh, okay. I don't know. So yeah.
I was thinking because of where. So it's like here, right?
It's like right below the ribs. Here, yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking of it in terms of physicalness too, because like that's where your diaphragm is. So in terms of being able to like kind of stand in your power and like breathe. I think they talk about this in yoga and stuff too, about people like doing like belly breathing or like full body breathing, because as adults we breathe differently than like kids and children do. So we don't really use day to day. We probably don't use like our full lung capacity because we all as adults kind of get like constricted. And that shows up physically.
I feel like
restricting our breathing.
I feel like Alexandra, I don't know if you've heard this. You know, Shiva Ray is a big yoga teacher, and she did a talk, some kind of event where she was talking about how we get stuck and we don't fully use our body, kind of like what you're saying. Reminded me of it. We're just like, if someone's sitting at a desk all day and they're just like commuting and going to their desk, they're not moving that much. They're very much like sitting and standing, but they're not like having that movement. So that reminds me of what you're saying about having the full body breathing or the fullness of your breath, like having that sense of vitality. Yeah.
And and the gland that is associated with the solar plexus chakra is the pancreas, which is interesting.
That is interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's kind of where the pancreas is. So it's like your stomach is like on your left side, and the pancreas kind of is nestled in there, like near your duodenum, which is like the first section of your small intestine. So it's because the pancreas is in charge of making like pancreatic juices that have like enzymes to help digest food. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Whatever that has to do with confidence, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, there's different metaphors about digestion. Like, what is it? I can't remember right now. Like, as a metaphor, digestion is about how you're processing something in your life. How many petals does the solar plexus have?
The solar plexus has 8.
8 petals. That's interesting.
It's associated with yellow. Okay. Yellow.
That's interesting. Like, I don't know why the petals. I have to look up sometime why the petals are numbered that way. I'm sure there's like a reason. I wonder why it is.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with the like the vibratory frequency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then also I guess the root chakra was making me think like the 4. That kind of makes sense because that's what you need. That's like a stable number for. Yeah, like 4 legs, the chair. Or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the vibrations of each, like the vibratory frequency, kind of goes up or gets higher as you progress through the chakras.
That makes sense. Oh, the other thing that the pancreas does is it produces the hormones insulin and glucagon. So like people are familiar with insulin, so like those hormones both tell our cells whether to like break down or take on like energy, like to break down like what we eat, and like so that our cells can actually have the energy. So yeah, I mean like it's definitely responsible for like our whole body I guess confidence, because it's like, well, you can't really be confident if you don't have any energy.
Yeah, it's true. Like, very much that energy, vitality. I'm going to take a short break just so I can stretch a little bit. We're at like 24 minutes, but then we'll pick it back up.
Okay.
Well, these are some great discussions about chakras. Let's move up to the heart center now. The heart chakra, which is in the center of the upper chest. Obviously, the heart center is about like love and compassion and human warmth. I like to think of it as generosity of spirit, which is just like, I think it has to do with giving and receiving of compassion, or just being compassionate and loving.
Oh, yeah, that's what I had to. Love, healing, compassion, balance, acceptance.
Oh, acceptance. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Just being kind of like okay with things because you're just feeling compassion.
Yeah, and I think that, I feel like that's like a type of, a way of showing like deep love. It's like to fully accept someone is to love them.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. To be in that state of acceptance. Excuse me. I'm trying to think of... Oh, well, when I have a little bit of emotional pain, sometimes I'll literally feel it like in my upper chest, kind of around my heart chakra. So not recently, but a couple of years ago I had that happen. So, I don't know, I think that's interesting, kind of like the mind-body-spirit connection. Like, why else would I associate some type of emotional pain with this part of my body? Probably it was the heart chakra.
Yeah, I haven't read this study in a long time, but I remember like 10 years ago seeing a study like that they'd done, and they've probably done other ones too, where showing like when people talk about like heartache or like a broken heart, like there are like actual, like it's like a real thing, like there's like real physiological things they point to, that's it's not just like a saying, it's like something is actually like different.
Wow.
Maybe it's like immune function or something. Oh, I think that's what it is that the heartache, if someone's feeling a heartache, their immune system is dampened the same way that they would be if they had like a cold or something. So they're like actually physically affected by things that are kind of like emotional.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it can help you if you take an aspirin. It can help with heartbreak.
Heartbreak?
Yeah. I remember reading that. They did some study where like aspirin or ibuprofen can help.
This takes the edge off of that.
With emotional pain.
That's interesting. Never heard that before.
Thanks. Well, and that's interesting too. So the gland that the heart chakras are associated with is the thymus. And the thymus is located like right in like the mediastinum, which is like just that area around. And it's actually bigger, the thymus, when we're children. And then as we get become adults, it kind of develops into kind of just like a fatty, like it's not actual fat, but just kind of like a fatty thing.
It changes a little bit of what it's made of, or it's just different. Is it to protect children?
Yeah. So its main function is to produce a hormone that helps us produce T cells, which is like one of the main things that our immune system uses to fight things. So it's like we're building that as we're children. So by the time we're adults, like that's already formed. Like we still need to produce T cells when they need to, or we need to activate them when we need them, but we don't have to actually like manufacture them as much as we did when we were children.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that. So what's the color and the petals?
Yeah, so the purple is the color associated with the heart chakra, and it has 10 petals. And then I had heard that the deer is the animal associated with the heart chakra. So yeah, we think of deer as kind of like gentle creatures.
That's really cool. I don't know. I don't have too much else about the heart chakra. It seems like one of the main ones that people might naturally have some association with, even if they're not that familiar with the chakras. Kind of like you're saying with the solar plexus, the heart. We think of, even if we're not talking about the heart center as a metaphor, like we've said, we would relate to our heart and emotions.
That's it. Well, and even if you're doing yoga that's not, I think Kundalini is the style of yoga most associated with the chakras, or that that style of yoga is about like moving energy through your chakras, but I think a lot of, if you just go to a basic yoga class, there are certain poses that are heart opener poses, but it's usually back bends because it's like you're opening up the heart that way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Should we move along to the throat chakra?
Sure.
So the throat chakra is associated with speaking your truth, self-expression through speaking, or other. I think it can be other modes of self-expression as well. But I wrote like speaking up, saying what you want to say. So I think I've read about people wanting to have a balance in their throat chakra, because obviously you don't want to be too too harsh. Like you want to speak your truth and still respect other people's boundaries. But I don't think that would be a huge deal, but it's mostly about speaking and expressing what you want to, and not like just stuffing something if it's important to you to express it.
That's interesting. Yeah, I saw it was about communication, so I guess along those lines, and then creativity as well, which I thought was interesting because we talked about creativity being associated with, what was it, the sacral chakra, and and then I also saw resonance, which was interesting because I think they probably were meaning I don't know,
like singing or something
yeah,
okay.
I thought maybe they meant it more kind of like as like an expression, but maybe they meant it like literally, like because that's where your vocal cords are. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I want to make a correction. I'd said the heart chakra was purple. It's actually green.
Okay.
But this is easy to remember because the chakras so far are following the colors of the rainbow. Cause it's like root chakra, red, orange for the sacral, and then yellow for the solar plexus, and green for the heart.
Oh yeah, Roy G.
Yeah, and then blue for the throat chakra.
Cool.
So have you guys had any stories from your life that you'd like to share where you noticed that you wanted to speak up more about something and that was like a challenge or something you had to overcome? Not to put you on the spot or anything, but
yeah, I don't know, I feel like when I have needed to speak up that I like my heart rate increases, so it's like, I don't know, it's not just my throat chakra, it's like also my heart chakra.
Almost like a confrontation or just nervousness?
Yeah, like a confrontation. It's like I know, like I'm going to say something that goes against the grain, and I'm like, I could just not say this, but I can't help but say it because my body's telling me to say it.
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. Like sometimes speaking our truth is not necessarily well received, but we still have to say it, or we're not going to be true to ourselves. So it's kind of interesting. I had that happen in a college course one time. Like I was seeing the reading differently, and like no one else in the class agreed with me, but I still felt like I needed to say that because I really felt like it was an element of what we were reading that day. So it wasn't that great, but I'm still glad I did because I don't know, it was like speaking my truth, and it was appropriate. It was a seminar class.
Did it just do you feel it made it awkward, or?
It was a class that was supposed to be specifically about one culture. So I saw in the reading something that could be more universal. So that's what I wanted to bring. And like no one else was interested in that. They just really wanted to focus on that aspect that we were supposed to be focused on. But I thought it would add to it to think of it a little bit more broadly, a little bit more human, universal. But it wasn't. Anyway, but I was, in a way, I'm glad I still spoke up because it was really important to me. And I didn't say like that much. It was just like that tidbit. So it's kind of interesting.
I had the experience once in a work meeting where I don't know that it was angry, but I expressed some stuff that was like a little angry. But after the meeting, several people came up to me and said, "Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking," but no one else said it except for me.
Oh, no one agreed, and no one agreed with you in the meeting forum.
No,
yeah,
which is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I said it anyway. But
it's nice that they told you.
But I think it was because also like I kind of knew that different people were angry. So
that's good. That's good that you had that confidence to speak up. That's really cool.
Oh, I guess that's what I was. Is resonant. If something resonates, is that like a different form of the word resonance?
I think so. It's like a string vibrating. That's how I think of it. Like a vibration, like it's resonating. I don't know if that's true. That's how I usually think of it.
Yeah, I think that's the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
like
word. So that's what's associated with the throat chakra. So that makes sense. So it's like your voice resonating, and does it resonate with others?
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Interesting. Oh, did you already say the animal yet?
No, the animal, let's see here, I haven't noted, is the white elephant.
Another elephant.
Interesting. Yeah.
Huh. Was it the gray elephant before or something?
Yeah, or I guess just a normal elephant.
So the color blue and a white elephant.
White elephant, animal attributes: it purifies, communicates, imagines, harmonizes, strives to share and develop harmony. Maybe because they're rare, because they're like individuated. Mm-hmm. And then it's 12 petals.
Oh, 12 petals. Huh, that's interesting. That was good. I'm glad we had some anecdotes for that. Should we move on to the third eye?
Sure.
The third eye, a lot of people in New Age circles or like online, you'll hear about the third eye a lot. I associate it with the vision I have for my life, also intuition, and if I picture something in my mind's eye, like a visualization, I associate that with my third eye. This is what I think. I don't know if this is super true. I associate the pineal gland in your brain with being a link between the third eye and the crown chakra. So the pineal gland is like in your brain, like more in the center. So I feel like if you think about your third eye, the pineal gland, and then your crown chakra, to me that's like almost like a 90-degree angle. So I feel like your pineal gland, which I think is associated with intuition, would be related to both the third eye and the crown chakra. I don't have that much information on that, but that's what I feel like could be true, at least for me.
That's interesting. It's what I found is that the crown chakra is more related to the pituitary.
Oh, interesting.
And the third eye with the pineal gland, but I mean it's all like right around the same area up there in the head. So.
Oh, so they put the pineal gland with the third eye. Mm-hmm. That makes sense with the vision and stuff.
Yeah, and this was an interesting one because they're saying like the mysticism. So the pineal gland, its like main function is to we were talking about is to secrete melatonin, which helps us fall asleep. And the mystics thought that the pineal gland helped us bridge between this world and like the spirit world, and that makes sense because like the gland like literally helps us like fall asleep into like dream world. So
if someone's having a vivid or lucid dream, right there, that's a good example. Yeah, that's interesting. That's really good. So do you guys ever work with like a vision you have for your life, like journaling, or it comes up in tarot readings a lot. Like if I see the symbolism of a hawk or an eagle, I think of having this really high view of like getting like a bird's eye view of your life so you can see where you're going more. You know, like as a metaphor. So like see like your life path is down here and all of a sudden you're a hawk and you can see what's coming up for you and imagine that.
Oh yeah, so you have like a broader perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To help you plan, or just if you're feeling a little bit like in a rut, like what do I want to do next? How will I look at that?
That's cool. Yeah, my I don't know if this is along the same lines, but I feel like my spirit animal that I've discovered recently is the giraffe.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's like, the giraffes are pretty tall, so they might have that view.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Of the future or the far away.
Yeah.
Things.
That's interesting. And they have a long spine too, so like being that sense of like upright confidence or something.
Yeah, and they have 2 hearts because they need an extra heart. I guess they're different sizes, but their neck is so long that their heart in their body wouldn't be able to pump it all the way to their blood all the way to their head. Yeah.
So they have one closer to their neck.
They have one within their neck. Yeah.
Wow. That's, I think I can't remember if I've heard that or not. I haven't heard that in a long time. That's really cool. That's interesting.
Yeah. It just like came to me. Yeah. They're interesting creatures, and they're over 6 feet tall when they're born.
Really?
Yeah, or about 6 feet, I think. Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never seen I guess I've seen giraffes at the zoo. I've never seen one like in this habitat.
But since they're a mammal, they still only have 7 vertebrae in their neck.
That's true. Yeah, they just have enormous vertebrae.
Yeah.
Interesting. They're long? Like long vertebrae? Or there's something in between them?
No, they're just,
It's really large.
they're just really large. Yeah.
Huh, that's wild. Huh.
Yeah, I guess that is the commonality of, like, vertebrates. I forgot. Is it we all have the same number of...
Is it vertebrates or just mammals? Or is it all...
That's a good question.
I have to look that up. Yeah.
I guess mammals for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. From the little tiniest mice to the little tiny vertebrates.
Huh. I don't think I knew that, or I never thought about it. That's interesting.
Oh, purple is the color associated with your throat.
Purple? Okay. What, and the animal, did you say the animal yet?
The animal is the black antelope, which I guess I'm not familiar with the black antelope, but animal attributes: explores inner realms, enjoys all kinds of travel, inner journeying, and physical journeys.
That's cool.
Trusting, guided by inner vision.
Nice. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Do you guys remember this story? I think I've shared this with both of you, but so our granddaddy Alex, our dad's dad, at his funeral, I remember our dad's oldest brother D telling a story about, like, his father, obviously because both their fathers, they were, like, moving furniture together at one time, and they were having trouble, like, moving a couch and, like, getting it through a doorway or, like, up a staircase or something. And our grandfather said, try using your third eye. Like, I guess as a kind of a joke, but yeah, it was just interesting to me at the time, and because it's like I never spoke with. I don't think he ever spoke to any of us about, like, his beliefs about, like, the chakras or, like, incorporating that sort of stuff into your life. Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of interesting.
That is really interesting.
Yeah, I guess we didn't know him very well. But yeah, I didn't necessarily think of him as a very, like, spiritual person. I guess just because he spent his whole life, like, in the military or as an accountant, so.
Well, when you think about it, the only thing I could think of when, I think I do remember hearing that, was that he when he was married to grandmother Norma, she was really into, like, visualization, stuff like that. So when you think about it, maybe they had that in common, but we never knew that because he didn't speak about it that much.
Yeah, and also he was, like, very, like, devoted to, like AA and stuff like that, and, like, that has a very spiritual aspect.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, exactly. They have that prayer. That what is that called? The Serenity Prayer and stuff like that.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
I also heard from one of our other extended family members more recently that apparently Granddaddy Alex and his aunt, she didn't go into specifics, but apparently Granddaddy Alex and his sister, our Aunt Ruth, both had experienced had experiences that they felt like were kind of like otherworldly or
oh wow,
spiritual experiences.
That kind of makes sense. I always felt like the farmhouse where we would go visit but was haunted.
Haunted? Really?
Yeah, I thought there were ghosts there. Yeah.
Well, it's the only place Dad said he's ever done sleepwalking. So it's different things. Oh, I think he said
forgot about that.
Yeah, I think when he was younger.
Like, I never thought it was, like, creepy, but I definitely thought there was, like, different, like, energy there. That's interesting. I wouldn't.
Well, it's really old. Yeah,
it's a big old farmhouse.
I wish I wonder if they wrote down those stories, or if they had, like, a paranormal or like some kind of spiritual experience. I'd be interested.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Wow, this is our tangent, our family tangent. Yeah. That's good. It relates. Okay, so if we move on to the crown chakra, I don't know what people's belief systems are. I guess we could have started with that too. I think of the crown chakra as, like, a connection to your higher self or to the divine, if you have a concept of the divine. Having, like, a sense of limitlessness or an elevated sense of life, and having this theme of life being more infinite or eternal, or infinite and eternal, having, like, a greater sense of, I guess, like, a spiritual. It seems like the crown chakra is very spiritual, even though I guess all the chakras are. I don't know. What do you guys think of with the crown chakra? Anything in particular?
I mean, I think of it as, like, the top of the pyramid. It's like everything else is supporting.
Oh wow.
That to be able to have, because it is associated with spirituality, and I feel like you can't necessarily have spirituality if you don't have your other kind of, like, your core needs met.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I think of it as like if you're opening your crown chakra, then it's kind of like your personal portal to and connection to the spirit world or like the universe.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Ever since I did Reiki attunements, I have, not all the time, but sometimes I have a sense of my crown chakra. So it's really fun. It's a good thing. It's interesting. It's like positive sensation.
Cool. Yeah, and it's associated with the pituitary gland, which is like basically in charge of like your whole like endocrine system, like all like your hormone systems. So that to me makes sense too, because it's like, well, if it's in charge of everything, you think it would come first, but I think if it's like in charge, and then like there's things like off in your other, and like your body, and then like your other chakras, and like you wouldn't be able to access like the spirituality aspect of it because it would be too busy like taking care of like putting out fires in your body. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it's supporting, everything's supporting that upper part.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and even though it's in charge, like you'd think, oh, like it's in charge, so like I should always be able to be in touch with my spirituality, but not necessarily if there's too much else going on.
That's interesting.
Those are just my thoughts.
How many petals does the crown chakra have?
Oh, well, I was thinking we forgot to say, so the third eye apparently only has 2 petals.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Which I thought was interesting. I mean, maybe it just represents kind of like the spirit world versus like the, I don't know, the real world.
Like duality or something?
Or it's like you only got 2 chakras to go. This one and the crown chakra.
Yeah, 2 more.
Yeah, and if it has to do with the vibratory frequency, I guess I think of like, it's like the lower chakras, it's like they're vibrating they start vibrating at like a higher frequency, and then once you get up, it slows down a little bit. I don't know.
Like, does that mean it's more in tune? Like if it's vibrating too much below?
That's what I was wondering, or if you think about like it being just like a quiet, like intuition or like a quiet voice in your head, then it would vibrate at a lower frequency. For some reason,
that reminds me of like the Om mantra. It's supposed to be like very drawn out, like an Om. So that reminds me kind of what you're saying for some reason. It's like 1, sustaining, 2,
yeah. But then once we get to the crown chakra, there are 1,000 petals.
Wow, so many petals. That's really cool.
What are the animals?
And then the animal associated with it is an egg.
For the crown chakra?
Yeah.
Which one's the third eye?
For the third eye, it was the black antelope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and for the crown chakra, it's an egg. Expresses potential and purity.
Well, that's amazing. For some reason, I really like that. It's like all these animals and then an egg. That seems very cool. Yeah, it's a really cool metaphor or symbol.
I eat a lot of eggs.
Really?
Yeah.
You like
their crown chakra?
I eat eggs a good amount. Any other stories or insights you guys would like to share about the chakras? We've covered a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. This has been great. I really appreciate this discussion. I feel like we used our creativity. We brought some information to the table, and we also used our creativity to kind of navigate the chakras in our own perspective.
Yeah, I guess what do you intend on using, I don't know, your chakras in a different way going forward?
Oh, well, I think it's good to be really aware of them. Because I think people say, there's that back and forth of like how the themes are playing out in your life and then meditating on that particular chakra, like as a symbol of that. So yeah, you could actually do every day. You could work with different elements of your chakras, or try to be aware of it.
That's true. Yeah. I think the way that I might use it more is, like if I'm feeling stuck, then I might kind of take a moment or however long to meditate, or to think about like where I'm harboring that energy, or like where in my body that energy feels like it's stuck, and then say it like, and then seeing if it's like close to one of the chakras, and that might have some like revealing things to be able to get unstuck. Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be really like a practical. Yeah, that sounds great. I can tell what you're saying. Thanks everyone for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Alexandra? Or you feel good about it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was really fun. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will put down a little bit of information about how to reach us on websites and stuff like that. If you'd like to find out more about life coaching or intuitive readings or anything else. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Bye-bye.